What's up, everybody? It's Stephen Williams, founder and president of the creditrepairshop.com. And in today's video, we're going to run down it's Friday, to run down the debt that's being released into the market. And we're going to be talking about medical bills, medical collections. There's a recent news article that was in the news, and I've reposted it on my website. The link is below this video so you can read it, but it is very sad about what's going on now that the mandate was rescinded from people having to have insurance. It has the ripple effect. It took a little bit of time, but now we're close to 3 years into this. And when you hear these numbers that I'm going to tell you about and what's happening to these families, these stories had went away after 2009, after the Affordable Health Care Plan was in action in 2009. These stories had started going away. If you're one of these people that just don't believe in affordable health care because you just didn't like President Obama, these numbers here will just put it right in your face. And if you don't want to believe it, don't believe it, but you'll see more and more stories about this. This type of stuff was not happening when they had the mandate. I want to do a shout out also to Oren Gerard. I hope I'm saying your name right. Oren Gerard sent my staff a thank you note here with some edible fruit. Thanks for thinking about their health by giving some edible fruit here in the office. I was not in the office yesterday, so I didn't even get to have any. But the whole staff really appreciated it. And thank you for doing your part too. They told me that when they talk to you, you're very engaged. You listen. You let us do our part. You do your part. It's like we're just working as a full team. And that's what it's really all about. When we see successes like Oren had, this is what we talk about when your mindset is matching the mindset that my staff is in, that I'm in, and it makes it a result that is even more better than what you were probably even looking at getting. And we're going to continue working on your credit. All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk about medical bills, but first I want to talk about the Friday debt released into the market. We have I'm only going to go with the ones that's over millions, in the millions. There's a lot of them in here that are in the thousands, but let's just talk about the big ones. We have mixed credit cards, $10.7 million. We have mixed credit cards, $84.9 million. Mixed credit cards, $1.2 million. Mixed credit cards, $1 million. Mixed credit cards, $9.2 million. Mixed credit cards, $7.8 million. Mixed credit cards, $28.9 million. Mixed credit card from one company. And I'm not going to be mentioning the company names on here anymore because it flags the videos, but this is a credit card from one company, not a mix of different companies. $8.9 million. Here's another mixed one. $21.5 million. These are payday loans, $2.1 million. Payday loans, $1.1 million. Mixed credit cards, $67.6 million. Mixed credit cards, $62.2 million. Mixed credit cards, $58.5 million. Mixed retail credit cards, $4.5 million. When I say mixed credit cards, the other ones are like, the major mixed retail or department store cards, and it's $4.5 million. Mixed retail, $19.9 million. Mixed credit cards, $5.3 million. From one credit card provider, 50. Want to make sure I didn't accidentally stop my video here. One credit card provider, $50.9 million. $50.9 million. Another mixed credit card, $11.2 million. And payday loan, very popular payday loan, online payday loan, $2 million into the market. $2 million. So they're going to sell it. they're going to send letters to the people that had those loans or those credit cards, validation letter in the mail from a debt collection attorney, and you're going to have 30 days to respond to that letter. If you get it, you need to do it quickly. The first thing you need to do is look at if the debt from the original creditor. They'll have somewhere in that letter who the original creditor was. If it's past the statute of limitations, you want to check that first for your state for contract laws. If it's past statute of limitations for contract law in your state, you don't need to get into any other things other than writing a letter saying that according to the laws in your state, this debt is past the statute of limitations according to the laws in your state. Put your state name, and that and you want them to cease collection activities. Any further contact by their collection agency, you will consider it harassment, and you will inform the proper authorities in your state or your state attorney general. Put CCs in your state attorney general for whatever state you're in, just to, heavy the letter up a little bit. Send that to them within that 30-day period of time. If it's past statute of limitations, they'll stop. They might try to sell it to someone else. You might have to go through it again. Keep those letters. As you stack those up, you can choose to get an attorney to go after them because they're just passing that debt along, and they know that even when they sold it, it was past statute of limitations. Don't call them. Don't do anything. Send that certified mail. If it's not past statute of limitations, then you need to go to the next step. As it's still disputed, ask for full validation, which is where you're going to get all of the information that they have. Your original application when you applied for credit with the debt, with that credit card or with the payday loan or whatever that company is. You want that original contract. You want all the charges to substantiate that if it was a credit card, all of the charges that you made, signatures with those charges, or any digital signatures for those charges if you purchase stuff online. They must provide that information. Next step, if you don't do it, they're going to go to court to try to get a judgment. They're going to send you a summons, and you're going to have to respond in that summons. When you respond in that summons, it's just like doing the validation that you did. It's just that you have to answer the questions the way that they have it, and you have to make your request for the validation to them, and you need to send a copy of that to the judge. Then if everything checks out, they send all the documentation, you go to your court date, and if they have it, then you need to ask for time to do a settlement. If they don't have it, you need to ask the judge to dismiss the entire case. Now, let's go into what I have saw with these medical collections that are just hitting people all across the country. First, let me just tell you some of the numbers. In just one state, there was $22 million worth of tax refunds that was essentially seized from people that thought that they were going to be getting a tax refund, but the medical hospitals, they put a lien, or there's a way that they can go to court and they can get first got the judgments, and then they're going to put a lien to get those tax refunds, and they ended up getting $22 million. That's just from one state, but there's millions of dollars getting into the billions that's going to be seized in this next tax refund for 2019 next year. It's going to be seized. People are going to lose their money. They're going to be thinking that they're going to be getting a tax refund, and because of those medical collections, they're going to get their money seized. Wages being garnished. There was a story on there where one of the kids in the family sold their clothes and all types of stuff just so they could pay for some of the household expenses because of the medical situation that their family is in. There was a couple that they kind of went and talked about the article on, is that they had a lien for $164,000 for the medical bills on their home that was put on their home. So if they try to sell their home, they're going to swipe and take that money right from them. And and these are just the numbers. And what we've been seeing now at the creditrepairshop.com, we've been seeing an uptick in medical bills. We had before 2009, we were when we would do help people with their credit, we saw a ton of medical bills that were on there. And then right after 2009, when the first level of the affordable health care had went into action, we stopped seeing a lot of the problems with people have not been able to pay medical bills. We just saw the credit cards, the normal stuff. It had went a long time, all the way until last year. We started seeing a tick up, and there was two things that coincided last year that made that happen. Is that the mandate had went away. So that meant that if you didn't want to have insurance, you just felt that you were never going to get sick, nothing was going to ever happen to you, that you can not have to worry about getting insurance, and it wasn't mandated anymore. Well, lo and behold, young people and middle-aged people my age, older, people older than me, they continue getting sick. And so now what we see is that there's all of the stuff that we had dealt with that took years. Yeah, the Affordable Health Care plan was not perfect, but take it from someone that sees a lot of people's credit reports. We did not see medical as prevalent as we're seeing right now. I mean, it is blowing up, and these people are losing their homes. If they have cash in the bank, it's being seized. I mean, just all types of things are happening. And at the time that the Affordable Health Care had expanded out all the way until 2016, there was upwards over 24 million people had gotten insurance that didn't have insurance. Now, 2019, and things takes a little bit of time to roll, but when it's one of those things that once it hits you in the face, it's already done blew up by the time it hits you in the face. It's just like if you're dehydrated, by the time that your body tells you that you're dehydrated, you have already been severely dehydrated. And that's what's happening right now. 10 million more people are now not insured, and nothing. Republicans had said that they had some big plan that was going to repeal and replace. Nothing, have done nothing but just destroy and replace with nothing. So it's been more, instead of repeal and replace, it's been destroy and replace with nothing, because we had the numbers right here. 10 million more people don't have insurance. The pools are getting smaller, so it makes the rates go higher. So it's actually doing the opposite of what they had promised. Now, for you naysayers that are out there that talk about, I don't want someone to make me have to have something. Well, let's talk about some of the things that you do have to have that is mandated into law. One of them is car insurance. You can't drive your car around tearing up other people's car without having at least liability insurance take care of somebody else's stuff. Insurance is like having liability insurance on your body. Taking care of your body. You got to have a driver's license to drive. You got to have a seat belt. You can't just smoke if you're a child. You can't just drink alcohol if you're a child. You can't just get married if you're a child. There's tons of things that are mandated that, yeah, some of the things we don't like, but it's like it brings order to our society. So now let's talk about some of the solutions that if you find yourself in situation with medical bills, let's just take you down the path of solutions. The first thing that I want you to think about is that I want you to start thinking positive. Because if you're thinking negative, if you're thinking that everything is against you, if you're thinking about your situation too much, you're just going to get more of that. So what you have to do is you have to start thinking in a positive mind. And the easiest way to start thinking in a positive mind is to get the negative thoughts out of your head. And what you need to do is write it down on a piece of paper, and you look at it. So you write down what's going on with the medical, the amounts, everything on a piece of paper, and you just put that aside, because now the problem is on the paper. And then you need to ask yourself, is the problem this, or is the problem with me? That's a hard question that people have to ask themselves, because a lot of people think that they're the problem when it's really that situation is the problem. Because if you took away that situation that you wrote on the paper, the medical problem, if you put that on a piece of paper and you put it aside, and then you ask yourself, is that problem on the paper or is that problem in me? Then you'll know how to separate things from yourself, because you are not the problem. The problem is what you had went through to make that medical bill, and the medical bill is a problem in its own, and you need to move through your life without that problem. I know that the problem is there. You can't, people are going to be coming after you for the money, but you can't think that you are the problem. Once you start thinking that way, you can think more positive about what you need to do to continue everything else in your life, which will be to work, take care of your family, not have a poor attitude, not to yell at your spouse or whatever, those types of things. You need to move forward in your life, eat, exercise, work, have fun, and then you deal with this problem, this particular situation. Make sure my battery looked like it was about to go out. And then you deal with this situation as an individual situation. So now let's look at the first things that I would do when facing a medical bill. Is you need to look at the services that are rendered. Even if you have insurance, you need to look at the services that are rendered, because if my wife, she has a lot of medical bills, and some of the things that we've seen on there where they would send us bills that for services rendered, we wanted to make sure that they, number one, were done. We found that there were times that they had appointments that they wasn't even scheduled for her to go to. So that was going to be a bill that the insurance was going to have to incur, and we don't want them to pay for bills that for mistakes that they made. And then there were in-service and out-of-service bills that we had gotten, and we knew that we were in service for our medical provider, and they tried to bill us out of service. So some of the times that happens if they don't have an updated medical card number, if it changed from when you renewed your insurance, or if it was just something that you were on vacation and something happened and you had to get services out of service. You need to know that that was something that was not going to be paid by your insurance. And then if you're insured or if you're not insured, and if these are co-pays or deductibles, all of that stuff, you need to write that down on a piece of paper so you know what you're facing. And then the next step that you go after that is you look at if everything checks out and these are going to be a debt that you're going to have to pay, is you're going to have to look at potential settlement opportunities. And when we look at settlement opportunities, there are some hospitals that are out there, or I want to say nonprofit organizations, depending on what your situation was, that medical services that you got, that they will actually pay some or all of your medical expenses. You just have to know who these organizations are. The best way to find that out is to call the hospital and say that you work with any nonprofit or religious organizations that help people in my situation with medical bills, and they'll let you know. There was a client here. He had a severe asthma, had over $50,000, $50,000 worth of medical bills that was paid by a church organization. The next thing is, if you find yourself where there's no potential way of doing a settlement, and they're going to start to either try to garnish your wages, or they're going to put a lien, or they're going to so they can try to get your taxes from you, or they're going to do a combination. You need to be proactive, and you need to work with them on what you're going to be able to afford to pay them in payments, so you can also sustain your household, so it doesn't force you into bankruptcy. If you take the initiative, you will be able to work out deals with that. And also with the services, and this is something I learned a long time ago, because I own a business, and there's certain my business pays for my wife and I's insurance deductibles that we have to pay. You can negotiate a lot of those things. We found that you can negotiate a lot of the payments that you'll have to make to the insurance company. So don't be afraid of doing that. And I understand if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, but you have to be able to support yourself and your family and everything. You're just going to have to figure out a solution. If you're thinking positive, you will find a solution where you'll be able to work and maintain your household, and you'll be able to get chop away at some of these debts, and then at a different date you'll be able to pay them off or be able to come to some type of resolution on them. You just need to be in the mindset of thinking positive and going after it, because these medical collections are not going to go away. They are being very aggressive now that there's no mandate. They're not getting paid by having the exchanges with some of them. They're not having as much of that money coming in, so now they're going to be very aggressive like they used to be, going after people with lawsuits and liens and taking tax money and garnishments from people. So if you find yourself in a situation where you need help, even if you just want to comment below, please comment, and I can answer a question, tell you what we would do, and you can take it and see what you can do with it. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends, family about it. If you need help with your credit or anything pertaining to credit repair, please go to my website, thecreditrepairshop.com, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.